Season 1 is brought to you by the Kitty Rose Lifestyle, The Next Chapter, Black Women Matter, Pin AI, and NetHub. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Women Invest in Women. I'm here recording live in Toronto, Canada, at the amazing Festac Lounge. So we wanted to give it up for Festac for allowing us to film and record here over Carabana weekend. And just a reminder, you can find Women Invest in Women on all social media platforms. Please make sure to follow us on all podcast streaming channels. And this is where you'll be able to catch the show is via our podcast and our YouTube channel. And I want to thank my guest here so much. Lisa, how you doing, girl?
I am doing wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you.
God is so good. Glad to have you here, Lisa. So, Lisa, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Just to give a little background, so I'm all about health and safety. So I am about 15 years I used to be a civil servant. So I used to work with Ministry of Labor. Used to work with all the occupational health and safety inspectors that will visit the sites with their white trucks. And I used to support them as a program manager. And so it was just being that supportive role for them. So whatever they needed, I would be there as their kind of in between, right? So in between the public sector or members of the public and then management, I was that person to support them. So I did that for about 15 years. And during COVID, I had time to think, just like everybody had time to think. And I made a decision to move away from the public sector and move into the private sector. Reached out to a colleague of mine that used to work with me in government and just express like what I was looking for, what I was going through, and made the transition to the private sector as a health and safety coordinator with my organization today. So we deal with civil engineering, and it's been quite the journey in the last 3 years.
Awesome.
Yes.
We're going to get into that journey. But before we do, can you give us an interesting fact that most people may not know about you?
So the people in the room that are representing me, with the exception of my sister right now, I actually used to be a very quiet person. I used to be that person that would shy away to opening, being open and speaking. And public speaking was not my thing. And I'm sure there's people in my classes that would say she used to cry.
Oh, wow.
Right? Or she would used to be really scared and to speak. And so a lot of people don't know about that because when they see me and they're like, oh, she's quite the chatty Cathy. But I used to be very quiet in speaking, and it took a long time to get to this point where, finding your voice and being to actively speak and kind of command your space.
So I'm glad you went there.
Yeah.
So what has gotten you to the place where you are finding your voice and feeling comfortable enough to speak loudly, proudly, right, as a woman in the space, as a Black woman, as you told me, a woman from Scarborough.
So, being, I consider myself an OG of Scarborough, a kid from the 70s and stuff. So I think I'm like an OG there. But, I think a lot of it is just, nobody owes you anything. And you have to find ways to command your space. And finding ways to command your space is speaking, and talking to people and not being afraid to have conversations with people. Because, my mindset is the most they can say is no, right? As well as, if they say no, there's always another door.
Yeah.
Right? It's just finding the right door that will open for you. And even if it's open a crack and it sets you 10 steps backwards, it's a door, and it's a way to get in and then maneuver to where you need to be in terms of your pathway. So I equate myself that, not to say there's no, but there's always going to be a yes somewhere, right? Sometimes you will encounter your no's, but don't allow that to be, like, your breaking point or a point where you're going to stop, right? It's just kind of thinking, okay, it's a no now, but why is that no? And then kind of rethinking and re-strategizing to say, like, where can I find that yes?
Right? I love that. Yeah, every no can turn into a yes.
Every no can turn into a yes. I'm a big advocate of that. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, as I was reading your bio, one of the things you titled your bio was actually one of the few times I've seen somebody title their bio, and your title was Championship of Women in Construction, I believe.
Yes.
So, would love to talk a little bit more about why this is passionate for you to get more women into the trades. And of course, we know it's an extremely male dominated field, but we are getting some more women coming into that space. But having your voice is one of the ways that you're advocating for that to happen. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
So, in terms of this industry, it's very, and well, not forever, but it's heavily male dominated. And, it's just a matter of we need to find our space. We are quite capable of what the work is out there, and we're quite capable of fitting ourselves in there. But I think a lot of it is just fear of the rejection, fear of being told no. And I learned earlier on getting into this industry, being number one, a woman of color, and I've always been in this space where it's only been me. And a lot of it is that I had to say to myself or talk to myself and say, like, they just don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're not used to certain people being in their spaces. So I want to be that person to show you I can be in your space, right? When I first started with Ministry of Labor, one of the things is that a lot of the gentlemen coming in, they were very polite, but they just didn't want to deal with me. And I thought that it was a thing of color, but it wasn't a thing of color. It was a thing of they just didn't know how to relate to a woman. A woman is going to be able to understand what they're talking about. So one of the things and that I practice and preach is you got to know your audience. You got to know who you're talking to. So with my inspectors, I had to learn their lingo. I had to take the time to ask them questions and inquire about things and kind of get in that space with them, right? Not being forceful, but just asking them certain questions. So they're like, oh, she actually is interested. And so that helped to open a lot of the dialogue with a lot of the male counterparts that I dealt with, where they wouldn't speak before. I mean, it got to a point where I had to step in where, they would come in and I had somebody that was the equivalent of what I did, because there's usually two in a program. And it got to the point where they would be polite and they would always ask for him. And I had to kind of like, oh, well, they don't really feel like I'm part of this team.
Wow.
Right? And so I had to pretty much say to myself, you know what, you got to figure out a way to insert and remind them that you're part of this team. And one of the things I did was one inspector in particular, I'm not going to call his name, but one inspector in particular, he normally would come in and he would do this kind of sing song with everybody else, but not me. And I had to call him on it in a polite way.
Yeah.
And just say to him, you know what, I'm part of your team. So let's I noticed that you do like a roll call every time everybody comes in. So let's do the roll call with my name in it.
Wow.
And so, you can call me Lily, you can call me Lisa, you can call me beautiful, you could call me whatever you want other than certain words. and I will respond, hello, I'm here. How can I help you? So from that, because of the fact that I put him on the spot and I told him, hey, I don't feel included, made it into something a little funny. But you can tell that he was called out on something and he was like, oh, she sees me. Right? So sometimes in life, you have to remind people and not be afraid to remind people that, hey, I don't feel included, but I'm going to let you know how you can make me feel included. Right? And I felt that doing that with that particular inspector then was like a domino with everybody else to say, like, she's not the one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
She's going to point that finger at you, or she's going to have conversation with you, and she's not afraid to do so.
Yes. It sounds like remind people who the you are, okay? Remind people who you are, okay? Yes, yes, yes. But which is I 100% agree. You got to remind people. You got to
Yes.
be like, boom, I exist, I am here, I'm worthy, all those things. There is also microaggression. There's also a emotional labor that is added on to the just the regular work that we do.
Yes.
That oftentimes men and people who are not people of color don't even understand what that actually entails to get your mind right and ready
Yep.
just to get into work, just to go into that
Mhm.
office. Can you talk a little bit about, like that emotional piece to it, to the microaggressions, and then how do you advise young people who are thinking about getting into this industry? This is what you do when those microaggressions happen. This is how you can minimize or take care of yourself from an emotional perspective.
So, yes, I do encounter microaggressions sometimes. People look at me and say, like, how did she get in this space, or want to question my credentials and all that. And listen, I'm going to be honest. I didn't get here because of university degrees and I have all these accolades. I got here because I said what I had to say. I was honest in terms of my abilities, and I had a willingness to learn and train and get familiarized in something. But in terms of microaggressions, you have to not take it personally, because once you take it personally, which I've done in the past, it affects you emotionally, right? And then that, I guess, the that black girl type of persona comes out, and I don't want to portray myself that way. So sometimes you need to take a moment and you need to step away and just kind of regain your thoughts and kind of replay the situation and say to myself, is it kind of worth it to go there with this person and kind of put that person in their place? Or is it that person has a level of ignorance and hasn't taken the time to learn something about you, and they have a preconceived notion or idea about you, and you need to correct them on that. And it's okay to correct people in a polite manner, right? But you got to let people know sometimes that it's not appropriate, right? And so the spaces I'm in, if I feel a level of microaggression, I'll give you an example. When the first time I went to our project, which was our Gordie Howe Bridge, and I told the gentleman, mind you, this gentleman has never seen me before. He's only heard me on the phone, and I messaged him to say, like, okay, I'm coming there for safety week. I'm going to eat my little hot dog and give my little business cards, but I'd like to walk the bridge. And he looked at me. From the time he looked at me, he saw lashes, he saw glitter, he saw my nails, whatever. And he's like, oh, I can look at you. Oh, you know what? I can take you over here and look at the bridge down here. And I'm like, no, no, sir. I didn't fly all this way for me to look at the bridge on the ground. I want to get up there and I want to walk the bridge. Wow. And that's what I want to do today. And from there, he was like, oh, this girl's serious. And not only that, he kind of looked at me, but he also put me on to a test, because they like to do that as well. They like to put you on the test. So he put me on a test. So he made me climb all the way to the top. So if you've ever been in construction and have to climb a scaffold, let me tell you something, especially in Windsor, specifically now, it's very hot. And you're sweating by the time. So I'm sweating and I'm breathing or whatever. But I said, you know what? Not today. I'm going to show him, no, I came to see that bridge. I know. And once I got to the top, he was like, oh, okay. Okay, this
I
girl,
see you.
I see you. This girl means business, right? So sometimes when I'm in these spaces, they would like to put these little tests on me, but I'm going to show you. You can put me in all the little tests that you want to, but I'm going to show you that I'm here to play just as hard as you.
Yes, I love that.
Mhm.
So, what is your origin story in terms of how did you get into the industry? I'm just curious about that.
To be honest, when I first got into government, Ministry of Labor, and this is a bit personal, so I had just found out I had started in government, Ministry of Community and Social Services, and I had found out I was pregnant with my son, and I was contract, and I was worried at that time that um, my boss at the time would not, I guess, roll me over into permanent.
Mm.
So I put on my little hustle hat.
Yes.
Right? And I always say, when I say I put on my hustle hat, I put on my little hustle hat. So I put on my little hustle hat and I started applying for jobs as if it was my full-time job. So I made a point every single day is to apply for 20 plus jobs, whether I was qualified or not qualified. Okay?
No, that's right.
Just
Okay,
sending all
just send it
kinds of
out.
resumes. I didn't really care at this point because my mandate was to get permanent so that I could make sure I get my little top up and I was good. And so what happened was I ended up getting Ministry of Government Services, which is Service Ontario. So I got that. And as soon as I got that job, 2 days later, I got an opportunity to apply for Ministry of Labor. I went to my manager and I said, hey, I just got this job. Would it be right for me to apply for this job? Because the job that Ministry of Labor was offering was more convenient for my situation. I was closer to my parents when I give birth to my son, school, and all that kind of stuff. And she said, it's just government. It doesn't matter. You could be there for a day, and next day you go to another ministry. So I was like, okay.
Wow.
So I went and I applied for the job. And the one thing that stumped me on the job, where I said I wasn't going to get the job, was I didn't know the minister name. She asked me 3 times. She's actually the director right now for Ministry of Labor, and she'll say, I remember this girl. So 3 times. And so I said, for sure I didn't get this job. So I went to Ministry of Government Services. I sat there with my hands on my belly, just doing my thing. And then I said, after my mat leave, I will find what I'm looking for. 2 weeks in my mat leave, I'm there with my son. I was actually applying for his birth certificate and SIN number, whatever. I got a call from Ministry of Labor saying you got the job.
Oh, wow.
And then he started to cry. I'm like, oh, whoa, I'm on my mat leave. And she's like, how long are you on your mat leave for? I said 9 months. She's like, okay, no problem. We'll hold your job.
Wow.
Right? And from there, that's how I got into the Ministry of Labor. And it was more so the convenience of it. But how I got into construction was because of the fact I wasn't being heard or seen in my department. And that's how I started interacting with the inspectors and learning from them and speaking a language so that they would feel comfortable to talk to me. And that's how really I got into construction and understanding construction.
Yeah. So you're talking about relationships, and
Yes.
as when we first started this conversation, when you were moving from the public sector to the private sector,
Mhm.
you tapped into your network, you tapped into folks that you knew, and were like, "I'm thinking about making a change."
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about the importance of having a network that you've cultivated
Mhm.
and that you've curated, really, right? That you've really nurtured these relationships.
Yes. So my person, unfortunately, he passed away earlier this year, which is Gord Baxter, and he was one of my inspectors when I first started. And when he retired, he was like one of those kind of OG type of inspectors, and he was just a hot commodity. And that's how he landed with the company I work with today. And I reached out to him. It is so important to network and connect with people and get to stay in contact with people. It doesn't take more than a second, especially like something today where I've met people today, to send a message to say, hey, it was a pleasure meeting you. And just leave a small reminder, this is the person you talked to today, because you never know when that's going to circle back. It is important to network with, especially LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like Facebook for everybody. And I spoke to a graduating class a couple weeks ago just to say, if one thing you can do leaving your program before you graduate is update your LinkedIn. right? Because you never know who is connected to you. You don't know who you connect with. You don't know who you can start a dialogue with, and never be afraid to reach out and say, hey, hi, I'm looking for a job. So if there's a posting out there, go message that person and go and let them know who you are. And there's nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, nobody owes you anything. You are responsible for your destiny. You are responsible to create the direction you would like your life to go into. It is your responsibility not to wait for somebody to do it for you.
That's right. I love that. It's your responsibility to curate the direction
Yes.
your life will go into.
Absolutely.
And I will do another plug for LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, so I 100% agree that you need to get your LinkedIn right, and please be on there.
One thing I do want to just as I was updating my LinkedIn, and since I've updated my LinkedIn, has allowed me to connect with yourself and other people to speak and speak my word. But it was so funny. I one day I sat there and I messaged people that I've worked with since I was 13 to now 51.
Oh my gosh.
Just to get a little recommendation from them, and the amount of people that responded back to write something on my LinkedIn, like how many years ago? I expected like 5, and I got like 43.
Wow. Yes, that's beautiful.
So
that's a testament to just
yes,
how amazing
and it's about networking and keeping in contact with people, and it's so important because it's not about applying for the job posting, right? You could apply for the job posting, but you may know somebody there. And so if I see a job posting and I apply for whatever, and if there's somebody on my network, I'm going to send, what, just an FYI, I applied here, and are you that person who can bring my resume to the top?
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
I love that. That's great. So the show is Women Invest in Women, and oftentimes when people are thinking about investing, they think about financially investing. But I think there's also more to it. It's also investing your resources, opening up doors, opening up your network. Can you talk a little bit about how you've invested back into young women in the community?
So for young women, I'm always open to just say, you know what, I'm here to help you and support you, right? And doing what I've been doing, situations like this or whatever, I've come across or I've had the pleasure of speaking to young women, and I open my LinkedIn to them and say, like, here I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Feel free to take a look and see what's up. If you need any guidance, anything at all, I am here to support you, because I actually want to see more women in this industry.
Yeah.
And so if there's anything I can do to lead you in that direction, it could be a big leap, it could be a small leap, or whatever the case may be. But I would like to know that I was able to help contribute.
Yes, awesome.
The one thing as women we need to do more, if I can say this, is we need to share more. We need to stop
gatekeeping,
just hovering things to ourselves, right? There's enough for us to eat. And, I can give many examples where, women sharing on women, but we need to do a better job of doing that, because you never know who you're helping that can circle back and help. And I'll give you a small example. Went to a concert the other day with my girlfriend, and there was an opportunity there for her to, connect and do her thing with her business. And there was a lady that was there that she knew in passing, and it was like a VIP situation. My girlfriend didn't pay for it, but this girlfriend did, and she was able to get what she needed for her business. She saw my girlfriend, and what she did was she took her VIP band and said, you know what, I got what I needed, you can eat too, and gave her the band that she paid for, so my girlfriend can also benefit from that. And that's women helping women with no malice, no like she's stealing something from me or whatever the case may be. My business is my business, her business is her business, but we can all eat because there's enough for us to feed. And we need to get to that point in terms of women sharing with women.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we're getting ready to wrap up. What is one word of wisdom or a 3-word sentence you'd like to leave our audience with?
Find your voice.
Find your voice. Yes. Love it. Let's give it up for Lisa. And after this break, we have our next guest, Tania. But thank you so much for being here,
Thank
Lisa.
you
Appreciate
so much.
it. Yeah.
What if your brand could travel the world, be seen by millions, and align with a movement that changes lives? Introducing the Women Investing in Women Global Tour, directed by visionary media leader Kitty Rose and moderated by the empowering Kwamara Thompson. Our show reaches 4.7 million homes through broadcast television and is streamed on all major podcast platforms. That means your product, your service, your message, right in front of an audience of investors, buyers, and culture shapers. This is more than media. It's a movement. This is women investing in women. Want in? Limited spots, global reach, real impact. Contact us today to advertise with purpose.
Welcome back, everyone, from our lovely break. We're here at Women Invest in Women, and I've got my friends, my Toronto friend. Hey, girl,
Hey,
Tania.
girl. How are you?
So, listen. So I decided I was going to end our Toronto episodes with Tania because Tania has been instrumental in helping me put this event together, our live event. Yes, let's give it up for Tania. Yes. And I just wanted to talk about in some of the themes that were coming up in terms of community, in terms of network, in terms of activating your network. So Tanya and I literally just met through another mutual friend of ours a few months ago. Her name was Wendy. And then we were connected. And the next thing I know, Tanya was calling me and she's like, hey girl, I'm in Miami. And that's where I live. And I'm like, huh? She's like, what you up to? I'm like, I'm just chilling. She's like, let's hang out. And so we did. We hung out. We went to my friend's house. And so, it's one of those things where we met virtually. We had a good conversation. We continued the conversation via email and WhatsApp. Then she called me, and then we met in person, and then we just had a crazy night, but such a fun night at my friend's crib. Well, first we went to the restaurant, then we went to my friend's house. So, and then when Women Invest in Women came around, I said, I would love to do something in Toronto. I reached out to you, and you were like, I am down. And so here we are. So I just wanted to just give that introduction because it's so important. You're so instrumental as to the reason why we are doing these 2 episodes here in Toronto. So just give it up for Tania again. Yes. So Tania, tell the people a little bit about who you are, Miss Ma'am.
Yes, thank you guys. And I really appreciate everyone's support here. I'm literally connected with everyone that's here today. And I love that we have this community of women that can support you as well, Kumar. And thanks so much for coming to Toronto. So I'm Tania Reid. My company, Marja Capital, is named after my late Jamaican parents, Margaret and Errol Reid. They both passed away with cancer. And I feel like the legacy that they are not here, but I'm choosing this journey of entrepreneurship, which I didn't even think I was going to be on because I got in a serious car accident in 2014. That was very instrumental in changing my life. So I suffered with chronic myofascial pain syndrome after that. And my wonderful mother, she was the one that really nursed me back to life. And then I returned the favor when she got in a car accident in 2017. And then, unfortunately, with her condition, she had scleroderma, which is an autoimmune disease of the skin, and that autoimmune disease turned into skin cancer, which is very rare for Black patients. Even the oncologist said it's you don't see people of African descent really with skin cancer. And so I was her full-time caregiver, stopped everything I was doing. Because my background before that was in banking, sales, and service. So I basically dedicated my time to caregiving for my mom. Then she passed away. And then I was like, oh, what am I going to do with my life? And then I got it was a book. I'll say there's 2 books. So one was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Everybody talks about Rich Dad Poor. Every entrepreneur I know is Rich Dad Poor Dad. If there's any book that you got to read, it's Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Absolutely. And another book, some people know about, some people know Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's an amazing book. And actually, one of my mentors, and you met him, Gary Shelton. He's great friends with him. And I was like amazed to know that they know each other. And I'm hoping, that I could meet him one day because he really talks about practicing group economics and motivation for anyone that wants to do entrepreneurship and empowerment in our community, in the Black community. So I basically pivoted instead of focusing. After my mom passed, I got my mortgage agent license. So I have my mortgage agent license. And then I got into focusing because of Rich Dad Poor Dad to real estate.
To real estate. Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. And so I became a real estate investor, did a US deal. Actually, the person that was in terms of experience of realizing you have to be very careful in real estate because that person I was in jail, but that's a whole other story. And it
Real
didn't stop
estate
it.
is a very interesting industry because I'm also dibble and dabble in real estate as an investor. And you do have to be extremely careful.
Yes.
Oh my God,
yes.
especially in Miami and in some of the high profile cities that I'm in, Miami, New York. So
yes.
I'm glad you say that. Listen, not all money is good money.
That's right.
Fast money, maybe looking at that fast money like, wait, let's slow down. Let's look at it exactly because to your point, there are lots of people who end up in jail, having a lot of issues in the real estate investing market.
Yes, exactly. So he was a Texan, not ours of color, but it was like shocking. And then I said, I'm not going to give up on doing investing. And I actually, she's a friend and a mentor of mine, Melissa Allen of Capital M Venture Fund in Toronto. She told me 2 years ago about the Black Wealth Club. So I was already on the journey with Venture Capital and just focused on real estate private equity. And she's like, well, I do venture capital. You should take this program. And basically, what the program does encourages Black professionals to get into venture capital. And so I did my first venture deal with the facilitator, Martin Thompson, through his VC fund. And that was a food product called Chia Smash. Then I invested in Melissa's VC fund, and everyone is of color. A lot of for the Jamaicans in the house, it's a lot of Jamaicans, Trinis that I've invested in, and it's like the Jamaicans always know where come to me. Oh, Tania, you just I'm like, so it's just a funny thing that happened, but
it makes me think about whether or not I go back and forth about whether I want to take investor off of my title in my LinkedIn because oh my God, the amount of people who are constantly, I'm like, can you at least like pretend like you want to have a relationship with me or get to know me in some kind of way? You think I'm just gonna go in my pocket and give you some money?
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's unreal. Yeah, I get tons and tons. That's true. And so after that, it was like I was like, okay, I can continue to focus on venture capital, but where more of my alignment has been is in private equity and in terms of acquiring assets. I'm in the process of acquiring assets with Gary. Then I was in a network of people in M&A, mergers and acquisitions. Met Raheem of he's a CEO and founder of Kiso Capital Partners. Then I became a business consultant with him on large deals that are 10 acres. So it's ESG, so environmental social governance, social impact projects, which really is my heart too in terms of anything I want to invest in and assist people in getting funding. So it's 10 acres minimum and 50 million US or more, 69 million Canadian. And I was successful to get my partner Gary funding for a large project in Detroit for over 265 million.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yes.
265 million. Yes, yes. So
of actual projects, which is a ESG, environmental, social, government, social impact. So it's actually what it is. It's an arena. He's buying it, but he's gonna be helping homeless people live there, students, and like data centers. Like it's a huge project in the States.
In the States, in Detroit. He was telling me about it when I was there. He was showing me some of the stuff that.
Yes.
So we're saying a lot of words. And I just want to be mindful of the audience, and not everyone knows exactly what we mean when we say private equity, venture capital, mergers and acquisitions. So can we just give a high level definition of all of those things just really quickly?
So venture capital primarily invests in companies that are usually startup. It can go all the way to the range of them going to IPO, which
Yep.
is when they go public.
That's right.
And you can invest on the stock exchange. Private equity are for existing companies that already have an established track record, and either you're in the business of buying those kind of companies or you invest in those companies. So I'm on the side of acquiring, but also wanting to invest, and uh, I would say that's sort of the main difference. In the mergers and acquisitions are, it could be anyone in this room that if you see a business, for example, in Toronto that you see online, you want to buy it. You acquiring that existing business is a merger and acquisition. Yeah. So an existing company that you are acquiring and then you're buying that business. So yeah, that's the main difference.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that we just norm set around that, because I realize when we're in the industry, we just say the things. And
Yes.
like, there are going to be multiple people who are going to be listening who might not actually have that kinds of knowledge.
Right,
so I wanted to just go there. Okay, so you told us a little bit about yourself and learned the story why it's called Marger Capital. So I didn't know that. So you got that after your parents, and it's your legacy building. So tell us a fact that maybe we don't know. I don't know if that was a whole bunch of facts I didn't know, but maybe there's another one that
Oh
you
my
would like
God!
to
Yeah,
share with us.
that was one of the facts. A lot of people don't know that I got in a serious car accident. I would say that's the main one that changed the trajectory of my life, because I was in my 30s, like, oh, I'm working at the bank and it was all good. And then it sort of changed, and I realized I need something with the flexibility that I don't have to work a 9 to 5. If I've got to go, in Canada, we call it physiotherapy. In America, we call it physical therapy.
That's right. Yes.
So just go to physio and see the doctors and the massage therapists. Most jobs are not going to let you leave in the day to be able to go to see your medical treatment. So that was my first mindset of why I became.
Why you had to change and become an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
It's interesting because I didn't know that you had a W-2 job, and so I have asked other people, how did you make that transition from being an employee to being an entrepreneur? Tell us about, like, how did that feel? Were there moments of anxiety, stress?
Yes, absolutely.
Were your parents looking at you like, girl, what you talking about?
Well, sometimes I feel like my mom is looking down like, okay, girl, whatever you're doing, I support you, I love you, because like a lot of in the Jamaican community, that my friends could speak on this, a lot of them are not entrepreneurs, and then the ones that are, we are striving more than what our community would want you to do. Like I've had family members saying, "Oh, Tanya, that's good you're doing that, but I'd rather just work a full-time job and just get my pension and that's it." Right? So it's sort of like thinking outside the box and not saying, okay, despite, you may not having a background, because I would say the more entrepreneurial person was my late father, because he used to dabble in real estate and stuff like that. So it's definitely in there, and I have family members that are in that are entrepreneurs, but it's not the majority. So it's sort of like going against the norm. But I just say, hey, you have to go out there and just go out there to see what's best for you to do and what you have a passion for doing.
Yeah.
And then all the ducks will align.
Will align.
Yes.
So let's talk about it.
Okay.
The good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly of entrepreneurship.
Oh,
talk to us.
I would say the good is meeting people. Okay. I absolutely love meeting new people. Every time when I travel and they're just like, "Oh wow, what do you do? Oh, that's so great!" And I just, a lot of the people even that you just saw here, I met them at like going to events and or met them on social media, and then I was like, "Hey, can you come out to support?" And they came. So I'm just like, I'm so thankful. So I say that's the good. The bad is if you don't put in that effort to be consistent with reaching out in terms of getting leads or making those networking connections through. I'll be honest, the main way that I've connected in my business is with WhatsApp, WhatsApp and LinkedIn. And so I think you have to have that mindset of saying, I'm going to make connections on a regular basis. Yes, you can go outside if you have the budget for it. But if you're starting out, my recommendation is doing as much as you can with the community that you know, and then expanding with people on social media like LinkedIn, like Instagram, that would want to work with you. You let them know what you do and see how best that you could serve them. So that's about, and the kind of business I do, it's like based on finder's fees and when the deal closes. So that would be like
finder's fee, referral fees.
Yes, referral fees and everything.
So that's really making sure that you make some money off of your network.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. So I would just say that those are like the main things.
Closing the deals.
Closing the deals. That's the thing. And same with mortgages. Same in US. It's everything is commission based. So
so you own properties.
Yes.
So as an entrepreneur, tell me about the importance of having, you're owning your business, yes, but also actually owning real estate, owning property, whether that's your home or that's a commercial business or commercial building. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about why ownership is important as you're thinking about your entrepreneurial journey.
Wonderful. Yes. I say that when it comes to real estate, it's not about where you are now, but where you could go in the future. And one thing I would say the main thing with real estate that people, because I have friends and people that's like, I'm not really interested in buying. And I always think in my head, you do know you could leverage your home as an asset to be able to purchase more real estate. So people don't realize that whether it's commercial or it's residential, you can always leverage taking the equity out and then doing another purchase. The home, then also renting it out or having it leased. There's many things that you could do as an option that I think that, and I would always want to emphasize in our community, the Black community, that we should own a home because the benefit of it, and I could say that for, myself, and God rest my mom's soul, she is what, in terms of my home, her estate went to me, and then I was able to own my home in Toronto. So in Scarborough, I'm a Scarborough girl as well. Yes. I heard Lisa.
I was about to be like, I was in Scarborough the other day.
Exactly. Scarborough roots all the way. So, yeah.
The other thing that I wanted, so I talked about this with some other entrepreneurs who also own and who are also real estate investors, just as their side hustle, not as their main entrepreneurship journey.
Right.
During those times when the income is not flowing the way that you would like it to, you can take equity out of your home to help you build your business, to help you hire staff. So you own this asset that then you can use that money, pull that money out in a way that is helpful and beneficial. So that's the other piece that I like to say to folks.
Yes.
And if you have a business that needs like a location,
yes,
and you build up your business at a location, but you only lease it, and then all of a sudden someone wants to sell it or doesn't want to renew your lease, now you have to build up your business somewhere else all over again. So as an entrepreneur, it's also helpful to think about, can you get a commercial loan? And it's actually, if you're an entrepreneur, it's easier to get, at least in the U.S., easier to get a commercial loan than a homeowner's loan.
Exactly.
And then you own the building, and you don't have to worry about the lease. You don't have to worry about somebody coming in and taking it over.
Exactly.
Just because that you have established your business.
Right. That's so true. Absolutely. It's critical to know that you do have these options, and people don't think that, hey, I can leverage this asset for another. And we were having a conversation with one of my friends, Brad, that came like, people don't realize you could even buy in the U.S. Canadians, we can buy in the U.S. and leverage and be renting out a home in, for example, Florida, where you're from. Yeah, and a lot of Canadians are doing it.
I've been seeing some Canadian Ontario plates down there in Florida. I'm like, I see y'all snowbirds. It's too cold up there, huh?
Absolutely. We love Florida.
Yeah.
Canadians love Florida.
So, what advice do you have for somebody who is trying to get into this business, become an entrepreneur in general, but also if they want to get into the financing sort of business, mergers, acquisitions?
Yeah, I would say finding a mentor is key. So for me, my mentors have helped me along the way. Absolutely, because I did go to school for. I went actually this year. It was thanks to LinkedIn that reached out to me. The school. So I took Oxford's private equity program in London in Oxford, and they reached out, saw my credentials, and said, "Oh, we would love you to be in the program."
That's great.
Yes, yes. So I'm like, "Oh, mom, you're not here. I went to Oxford. Dad, I went to Oxford." So it's like one of these things where I'm like, oh, but I know they're proud of me. So, but yeah, I think you have to have mentors. That's the main one. And if you don't know somebody in the industry that you want to do, find them online, find them on social media, talk to your friends, talk to your network, because I would say that I invested in myself in real estate, and that's how I met Gary. And I feel like if you are willing to invest in an industry that whatever it is, take a course, make those connections. Who knows that the person that's running the program, then you become, a friend of theirs. And literally that's how, and I've known him now for years. That's how it sort of developed for us to have our friendship and mentorship that he does. And now he, in terms of my private equity fund, he's going to be a strategic advisor for me.
Okay,
When
nice.
that goes. Yes, exactly.
Yes. Love that. Love that. Love that.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
It sounds like you feel comfortable approaching mentors. What approaches have you found to be the most successful when you are kind of researching? Be like, man, I would love to be able to talk to this person, reach out to them. Like, what has been the best way to reach out to people?
Well, I could say Chris Arun, he was my MBA professor. He gave the best advice saying, try to make coffee meetings. Either like it's better in person if you can do a coffee meeting with someone, if they're connected. Because a lot of the times the connections I've made was through a friend, or I went and did my research on that person, reached out to them on LinkedIn or reached out to them on social media, and then just offered, hey, can we have a meeting? Can we have a conversation? And then the feedback is usually good. Like, sure, if they're usually not directly available, and even a lot of the connection made, they're not in Canada. They're either U.S. or overseas. Having a Zoom meeting, even telling them, hey, it's 15 minutes. If you're willing to have a meeting with me for 15 minutes for us to just chit chat in person, or on something like Zoom or Google Meet, and definitely using like one of these free apps like Calendly. I use Read.ai, so you can like book it on your calendar and theirs to just have that meeting and connection. And I find that it's best to just see more about who they are and being a good listener. I think that's probably one of the benefits for myself that's been that people always come to, like, I don't know, it's one of those things I find a lot of my friends come to me as their therapist because I'm a good listener. I love to listen. I love to see how I can help out. I think that listening and seeing where they are and then how you can benefit and help them somehow is the best way to do it. So yeah,
Love that.
absolutely.
Awesome. So we're about to wrap up. What is one word of advice or a 3-word sentence that you have for our audience?
Okay, a 3-word is own your power.
Own your power. Yes. We love that. Love that. Love that. Love that. Thank you all again for being here for Women Invest in Women. We are a 8-city, 5-state, 4-country global tour. Yes, 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 yes. Those of you in the studio audience, you have your attendee sheet. There is a survey in there. Please, please take that survey. Let us know what we can improve, what you loved about us, and what were some things that you would love for us to improve upon. And then also, we ask that people join our 10,000 Strong. What is 10,000 Strong? Well, our mission at Women Invest in Women is to create a global economic ecosystem centered around the values of humanity, with sisterhood, and the diaspora. So we believe in love, knowledge sharing, and empathy. but we also want to make sure that we got that money. And we want to be the solutions for ourselves. Why are we asking other to give us money when we have the means to invest in each other? So let's create our own economy. Let's do work in business with each other. Let's not be in competition. Let's be in collaboration at all points in time. And if women come together, we do our highest economic, we reach our highest economic goal, we bring in another $25 trillion to the GDP on a global scale. That's how powerful we are as 51% of the uh, population. So $99. So 10,000 strong is $99. You get to say that you support women and women. Your name is in the TV credits. But most importantly, you are contributing to this global economic ecosystem. We appreciate you so much. Follow us, Women Invest in Women, on all social media platforms and also on all podcast streaming channels. Until next time, peace.